Here we can see how we can analyze which is the minimum blend and what is the steep area and non-steep area, and then we are going for finishing of vertical or inclined walls by using Z level operation. First and foremost thing, if you are doing finishing operation, you should know the minimum radius which is present on the workpiece. Then only you can consider the finishing cutter with the nose radius. If the part is having only this slot like structure, then you can directly use R0 cutter. For example, if I want to finish this particular region, then I have to use a cutter which is having diameter equal or lesser than this particular radius. The radius of cutter should be equal or lesser than this radius, then only it can machine this one. If suppose, let's consider, if my whatever cursor I kept, that region is 1 mm. If I use cutter with diameter 4, then the radius will be 2, then it will not machine that particular region. So I have to take 2 diameter as my finishing cutter. For that's an example. If you want to know exactly what is the minimum radius, by looking you cannot judge what is the radius and how much it is and which is the minimum radius. For simple components you can judge. For a complex component you have to use a software technique to find out the minimum radius. To find out minimum radius, there is one option in analysis, NC assist. Once you take NC assist, it will ask you for a vector. In this NC assist, there are different types of analysis are available. Presently we are looking for blends. If you want to decide the diameter of the finishing cutter, then take corners. First you go for blends, and you need to specify the direction of the vector. I have selected. Then I am going to select the entire faces to analyze. Here I can define my own range, like I will keep -50 and +50. If at all any surface is having more radius than 50, then it will not show. So that will show under this particular range which we have defined. So after specifying the faces, then you have to go for this analyze geometry. Go for analyze geometry. You can see there are some colors which are focusing, and if you want to know the values of those colors, when you keep a cursor on that one, not sure, for that you have to go for this information window. In information window we will come to know. So deep blue color is having 4.22, strong green is having a 4.92, means it means 4.22 is our minimum radius. Here you can see blue color, deep blue color, like this you can do. You can analyze. If you want to save those color whichever is highlighting on the same part, then go for the save face color, say OK, it will be saved. It will be saved and it will be easy to recognize by for that. The next is steep and non-steep region. Steep regions are nothing but vertical walls or inclined walls. So non-steep is nothing but the horizontal portion, horizontal or dome shaped structure, we call it as non-steep. The word itself indicates steep means vertical or inclined wall, non-steep means horizontal surface. You keep that in mind. When you use that steep and non-steep concept in operation, you will come to know what exactly I mean to say. So now we have done until now roughing and rest roughing. Now we are moving ahead towards finishing operation. As you might have seen, by NC assist there is a minimum radius of 4.22. Then I have to use a diameter with 8 or lesser than 8. If I use 10 means it will leave material of 5 mm at the corner. So I will use 0.4 mm ball mill. Insert operation. I am using Z level operation for finishing steep region. When I keep a cursor on this one, it will show this operation is recommended for finishing of steep surface areas. So you can decide which area you want to machine, and also you can mention the steep angle also. So suppose if you mention 45 degree, means the surfaces with a 45 degree that can be machined with this operation. If it is exceeding that value, then it will not machine. So you can give that value. So it is meant for finishing. As I already used this 8 ball mill while doing roughing, so I will take again the same cutter, ball mill, 8 ball mill. Here I kept steep containment as steep only. Steep only means vertical or inclined with 60 degree. There itself it will generate the operation. As I am using 8 ball mill, I will give a depth per cut as 0.2 as my depth per cut for finishing. For finishing we are keeping some less values. So in geometry I want to mention this particular boundary as a boundary. I will keep trim side as outside, and stock, you should not keep any stock for finishing. Finishing name itself indicates there is no excess material, so avoid specifying any stock here. In feet and speed, again I am giving feet and speed as 8000 rpm and 800 mm per minute. Then calculate here. As I said, while engage you have to keep 80%. Cut levels, I want to cut all the levels up to the depth. In strategy, if you want to extend some in some edges, then you can extend it. If you want to roll around the edges, then you click this particular option. If you want to roll around between region, if you want to go to this smooth transition, then you can use this use method. Then you may see there are rare movements which is coming. If you keep direct, then directly next pass it will go ramp on part and strengthen. So whenever you are having any cylindrical component, at that moment you can use ramp on part, which is the best option for finishing. Like a electrode, copper electrode or graphite electrode, if you are machining, this ramp on part is very important. So while going to the next deep depth, it will maintain the ramp on a part with the angle whichever you specify. So now I will keep this use transfer method. Smoothing I will turn on for all passes. Here I will give range as we have given in rest roughing. You might have seen 50% to 100% I will keep here. In non-cutting modes, smoothing I will turn on. While engaging, it has to engage smoothly. While retracting, it has to go smoothly. In transfer rapid, always try to keep previous plane. Previous plane by default it is there. If it is not, then you have to give. Within region smooth we have kept. In older version, if you are using NX12 or NX11, there is also it is showing like a rust milling. Between region you have to go to the previous plane. Within region always you go for previous plane. In older version I am talking about. In 2306 version you have to select nothing, directly by default it is coming. So if you want to check collision while generating, if it is colliding some region, at that moment it will skip that particular region, otherwise it will give alarm. There is some collision is happening between the holder or the workpiece. In some cases, if the data is lost in your work part, at that moment cutter may enter into that particular region. At that moment also, this software will highlight where exactly it is colliding or it is overcutting the part. So always try to keep this check mark on. And also there is some tolerance. If you want to mention, you can give the tolerance, otherwise uh, go directly. It is taking 30 micron as by default. If you want 0.5, 0.10 micron, then give the value. Method we are taking as a finishing, then say generate. So it's a finishing operation which we are doing for a steep region. This is recommended for steep or inclined surfaces. Can you see? Go to verify. You might have observed it is generating only to the regions where there is a steep with 60 degree. If it is a steep, there also it is generating. If it is having angle of a steep 60 degree, that also it is generating. See 3D dynamic. It's not machining non-steep area because we have kept non-steep region, only region is focused. You may observe it's finishing the steep region. For finishing the non-steep region, there is a different operations are there. According to the need, you have to decide which operation you have to take. I will increase animation speed. So if you have created some operations like this, you will come to know how exactly it works. And also, if while doing practice you try to alter the values of steep angle, make 60 to 30, make 60 to 10, 60 to 45, and observe how passes will form on the part. Analyze, select this vertical wall. Yes, it's okay. Like that you can measure whether it is finished or not. You have to check like this. Thank you.